Beltalowda, wakoming good kopengmin. Or hello, Belters. Welcome, my friends, to Darkwoods Productions, The Expanse Crew, a podcast for discussing Amazon Prime's amazing sci-fi series, The Expanse. I'm your host, Dr. Scott Jordan, aka Zombie Scotty, cognitive psychologist, philosopher at Illinois State University. Beltalowda, please introduce yourselves and say a little something to us about who you are, and please tell us your favorite The Expanse memory. And we will start with Sistah Jay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Sistah Jay. My real name's Jennifer, so the J is for Jennifer. I'm a retired lawyer, but I'm also a current author. I write crime fiction, and I am one of four sisters who do podcasts, and we call ourselves Sistah Speak Productions. That's our company name.
My podcasting inspiration.
That's very sweet. Okay.
That's very true.
The Expanse is, even though I write mysteries and crime and murder and blood and stuff, science fiction is my first love. I like to read it. I like to watch it. I haven't written any yet, but maybe that'll come in my future. The Expanse just blew me away because it was so real. What resonated with me is the fact that this is a science fiction show. It's kind of like a space opera, but it has different worlds that are already developed. It's not like, oh, we're going to go to this planet and explore and stuff. Already developed. I love the mythology of every single world in The Expanse.
Yeah, it's so believable.
Yes.
You're just dropped in the middle of it from the very beginning.
I love it. It is fantastic. Just really, really great writing.
Oh,
top, for me.
Top. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Leandra Paris.
So I'm Leandra Paris. I am a school psychologist. I'm at William and Mary, and I run our school psych program here. And I do research on social justice and equitable services within schools and trauma-informed school-based mental health. So the question was about Expanse and what drew us in, right?
Yeah, your favorite memory of.
Okay, so this is kind of embarrassing, but the first opening scenes of Expanse I thought were just amazing. I thought the whole thing really drew me in. I'm really glad they used parts of the trailer. And then the scene where Holden and his first girlfriend. I'm not gonna lie, I saw that and I was like, okay, and then the gravity kicked back on and I was like, okay, you guys are showing
yeah.
So I knew it was going to be realistic, and I knew that it wasn't going to be grungy like Star Wars or too perfect like Star Trek. I knew it was going to be a good balance of those two things. And then when we got to see what ultimately ends up happening with the ship that they left, stuff just went crazy right there in the first episode, and immediately you're like, what's going on? The whole thing just drew me in, and I was hooked. It was real. They weren't afraid to show you what humanity looks like in all of its different shades, and
whether it's on a planet or extended out across the solar system, it's still the same species.
And people are still doing their thing and having their life and making their love and blowing things up, and it was just all fun. So
excellent. Thank you so much. How about you, Sistah Kay?
I am Sistah Kay, aka my first name is Kelsey, hence the K. I'm also one of the founding, podcasters for Sistah Speak podcasts and Sistah Speak Productions, and we podcast all kind of stuff. But in my day life, I work as a Salesforce administrator, and I also dibble dabble in film production. So I love TV. Anything TV is my first love, honestly. Growing up with a single parent, only child, that was my best friend, my sibling, TV, watching TV after school. Anyway, so all that to say, I love a series and I love science fiction. And The Expanse brought me back to just all of the science fiction shows I've loved in the past, because it's an ensemble cast.
Yes.
And I love stories where these people are pushed together because of where they work or where they live, and they end up becoming friends and then family, and they love each other. And I love that balance of how you can kind of luck up or accidentally be somewhere and that ends up being your life, or this one thing happens and then you're thrown together. I don't know why. I just love those kind of stories. And so when I first started The Expanse, I thought it was beautifully shot. It was gorgeous, but I honestly was a little confused the first season a little bit. And then I said, well, you know what? I need to understand, because I want to go back and watch the rest of the seasons. So I started reading the books. And so I think that's been the best part for me, is being able to, normally I don't like reading the books and watching the TV show. I prefer the TV show because that's my love. But this has really helped me kind of understand some of the politics and the history and kind of get that foundation so that I can go back and watch the rest of the seasons and understand like why things happened the way they did in that first season. So for me, it helped me. So I just loved the story and I was hooked. I didn't understand it, but I was still hooked. And then after I read that first book, then I was like, okay, I'm in forever. So as long as they have episodes, I'm there.
Well, when you open the series with a 0G sex scene,
I mean, you can't go wrong.
I'm in.
Trying to be cool and just be like, when they were doing stuff, and you just,
It doesn't hurt that there's some good-looking people on the show either.
No, not at all.
Mean, come on,
not at all. I gotta tell you, all the things you guys said about just experiencing it the first time. Boom, this writing is crisp. They're not explaining anything to me. They're showing me this world, right? And then, boom, the proto-molecule comes out. And as you just said, Sistah Kay, okay, I may not know who you are. I don't know. We're all together and we got to deal with this now. I just love, there's no time to sit around and have a kumbaya moment, right? You just keep moving, keep moving. This show keeps moving and moving. I'm just finished up season 5 again the other night, and the whole time it's just moving and moving and moving. And it's just fantastic. I love paying attention to the different Belter dialects to try to figure out.
I noticed your dialect is pretty daggum good.
Very good.
Beltalowda. I tell you what, I actually read up at Belter Creole, and they actually created a Creole language. And it turned out that when they were creating the language, it sounded too Jamaican Creole. And so they didn't want to have it reducible to one Earth Creole. So they threw in some Chinese phonics, more Japanese phonics, German phonics, so that you couldn't identify where on earth it came from. I thought, damn, that is just so smart, so cool. And my nerd self is in. So here's what we're going to do here. I've asked each of you to come up with your favorite character, favorite storyline, whichever you want to talk about. We're going to give you a little time to just flesh that out for everyone. Then we'll all talk about it. And then we will wear ourselves out on that one. Then we'll go to the next person. And I'm pretty confident that, talking about our favorite story bits and such, we'll cover basically the first 5 seasons with no problem. So we'll just start with the order in which we introduced ourselves. We'll start with Sistah Jay, favorite character, favorite storyline.
Yes. My favorite, okay, first of all, I like all of them. The people that know me from our other podcasts, I do. I like all of them, even the villains. But Amos is my fave. Woo! First of all, he's a lot like me in that he does not care. He's just out there. Okay, this is what it is. There's no sugarcoating. No, nothing else. This is just the way it is. And when people question him, it's like, okay. And he just looks at him. I love him. But anyway, but I like his relationship, of course, with Naomi. But I like the way they have progressed his relationship from season 1 all the way to the end. We don't even get his backstory until season 5.
Exactly.
And I loved the whole backstory. Of his backstory, though, my favorite has got to be the churn. And that was season 5, episode 2. And that's when he goes back to Baltimore. Okay, we have seen Amos all of this time. He is very physically imposing, but he's also very mentally strong. Always. And he is the one that when something needs to be done, there's really no wishy-washy. Oh, I don't want to feel guilty or anything. No. Okay. Boom. That's it. He's done. I like that. He is not indecisive at all. However, I was a little confused at first when he returned to Baltimore because I'm thinking, okay, there's more to him psychologically than meets the eye. That was his mentality to me is the same little kid that we got glimpses of that was being bullied, because he did grow up to be so physically formidable. But I kept wanting him to knock that brother over, the one with the bum arm.
Yeah.
But I could understand why he did not do that. And regardless of this is what I really liked about it, regardless of what the brother was saying to him and how the brother's, in my opinion, tone of voice and everybody else's tone of voice was to him, he was the same.
Yes.
He was the same, just like he is with Naomi, with Holden, with everyone. I'm just so impressed with that, though, because I would have smacked him or something, I mean, you would get emotional, especially when he went back home.
Right. Well, he did steal his high-grade tequila. I mean,
he didn't really steal it. He took it, and he looked at him,
right?
And probably, I mean, to me, just by the way he looked like him, yeah,
Right.
I dare you to come and get it from me, But
Right.
I just really like what they did with his story arc, and when he goes to the prison and that whole collapse and everything, and how he gets out, and just his whole physicality. It's like I don't know. I maybe it's because I'm just not a very physical person. I'm really short, very petite. So, but I really am impressed with what they did with his story arc, though.
Yeah, he's always present. He's always 100% present, right? Both physically and mentally. And there's a really good scene in season 5 where he's speaking, I'm going to say Julie Mao's sister. I forget her first name.
Clarissa.
Yeah, Clarissa. And
he calls her Peaches.
Yeah, he calls her Peaches.
And they're talking about killing someone or not, or being afraid, because he heard her dreaming saying monsters. And we had heard earlier that he's never afraid. And then she says, well, I said monsters. I'm going to get this wrong. You guys help me. Monsters, because monsters are never afraid, and I'm afraid, so I'm not a monster. And then, of course, he doesn't even say, oh my gosh, I'm never afraid, I must be a monster. You can just see it in his eyes. Again, this show does a great job of showing you. Exactly. And then he says, I got to get back to my crew. Because Naomi's the one who's his moral compass, right? Holden's is one who's his moral compass. And she's the one that says, okay, him. Let's go. Let's get that done and get out of here. And, we have a trauma expert on board here with Leandra. And I was wondering, the looks that he gives, these priceless looks he gives people with nothing but his eyes. They try to make it look as if he doesn't understand, or maybe are they trying to hint, or Leandra, what would you say they're hinting at with those sort of facial gestures on his part? So, or is that just a niche of the actor?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I think when I first watched him, I'm like, all right, so Naomi's his leash, right? Like she's keeping him in check. And at first I was like, well, this is kind of a flat character because he's just like sometimes in shows they have the muscle, right? The crazy psychotic person that, I thought he was in love with Naomi. I didn't know what was going on. But then as you got to kind of see him, I was like, okay, something happened. And he knows himself well enough to know that he doesn't always make the right decisions. And he knows that he has a response that's very protective, that's very immediate. And that's a very trauma-based response, right? And so the fact that he can recognize that and he uses her as that signal is actually really healthy coping. And it's not uncommon, particularly victims of childhood abuse, to have that person that kind of helps them navigate those things, particularly because he's still being exposed to trauma all the time, right? It's not as though he's like stabilizing.
He took the place of his mother. That's it. That backstory that we see where she's consoling him, and because he just got bullied, Naomi took her place.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it was really, and I'm with you, like I really love getting that backstory in Baltimore, because he isn't this maniac who's always on the verge of violence. He's actually very thoughtful and controlled. He's got a lot more going on there. And I think that when you see him doing those stares or like those looks, he's just processing the way he's reacting and trying to figure out, am I reacting inappropriately? Am I ineffectual?
Exactly.
And I do think sometimes he doesn't understand what other people are saying because things are so cut and dry for him, which is also not uncommon for people who've been exposed to trauma, where it's like, you know, it's life or death, it do or don't. There's not. And so, and I will say too, I think, and then I'll stop talking because I'm with you. I love Amos, and I didn't at first. And like watching him progress and watching the way he reacts to, you know, Holden and Naomi's relationship's been really fun. And I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about that whole scene where they come in and Holden's just waiting to get his butt kicked, right? And Amos,
I know.
It was so unexpected. It was so good. But there is a time where he is afraid when he loses his eyesight. And I think
I was so afraid.
That was
I felt really, so sorry for him.
Yes. And I think that though, you know, coming back to what you said, Sister Jay, about being a monster, I think that helped him realize that he's, you know, if you're using that dichotomy, he's not. He is not here. And you see after that, he is calmer. He is more stable. And so I think it reminded him that he's not broken. And I think that's a really great writing moment.
I agree with everything. I love Amos also. It's hard to pick just one character.
I know.
But for me, for Amos, I love how he is kind of like, hey, whatever needs to be done, I'll do it. I don't care. If that's what we need to do, that's what we're going to do. But then I do love that they gave us his backstory in season 5, because I wanted to know more about how he became to be who he is that we see in the first few seasons. And I think for some reason, his connection with Clarissa Peaches has helped change him too. Not that they really tell you that outright, but you can kind of see it a little bit. And for whatever reason, that whole situation, because I think he recognizes himself in her. Yes. You know, she was so dead set on getting revenge, what she thought was revenge against her father and what happened to him with James, with Holden, that she was just out to kill whoever she had to kill that got in her way. And I feel like he was the same way. And he realized, or he sees himself looking at her and how she's changed. And I think that's why he went to see her in prison, why he made that point to go, I mean, all the way down back to earth. Where you obviously know he wasn't supposed to go back to Baltimore because his friend was like, you ain't supposed to be back here.
Right.
I don't know. I just love that. I don't know what you call it. Just the position of his character and how they're building more depth to him and seeing how he has kind of, he still gets the job done and he will still kill someone if he has to, but that's not his go-to.
Yeah, he comes right up to Clarissa and says, people like us. So, you know, he automatically equates himself with her, and she's got those mods that makes her this crazy, this banshee killer.
I know.
I really dug her, like you said, being a kind of mirror for him to sort of examine himself more. And I got to say, season 5 was gorgeous. It felt like a breath of fresh air to see Amos not on a set, but actually out in the world, walking around with these huge drone shots overhead. It was almost freeing for him, freeing for me. It really was beautiful. And I was just love the fact that none of that was said. It was just shown. Right. And, you know, it's up to us to keep guessing what's going on and creating the story for ourselves.
But it also showed, in my opinion, his determination. If you notice, it was snow and cold everywhere.
Exactly.
And he gave her his coat.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, dang, Amos, I know you got to be cold or something. You know, I just felt kind of bad for him but that is the person, I'm sure, that as an adult, he has always been. He can withstand pain, cold, heat, somebody stabbing him, shooting him, whatever.
His childhood. It's from his childhood. Because you see that scene when he first gets to Baltimore, he's watching that corner where obviously he used to be.
Yes.
On the corner. And he probably has taught himself how to block everything out. So he does that now as an adult.
But I thought that was excellent how, without saying all of that in words, that's how they showed their trek. Yeah. And the whole reason why they were going trekking is because that asteroid hit the earth and a whole bunch of stuff was, you know, blown up and everything. So he had to go somewhere. The only place he knew where he could actually knew there was people there was where? Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out really good for them. At least they got off planet that way, but you know.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. Anyone else on Amos?
I feel bad. I feel bad for thinking he was just a blind psychotic. Like I thought he was like Jane. Was it Jane from Firefly? I thought that's what he was. I'll be honest.
Oh, really?
Well, but that's how they wrote him
Jane.
at first.
I love Jane.
Oh, I love him too. Like, in the beginning, he should, like, you never know, like, who, you know, like,
what he's gonna
turns
do.
out to be very loyal, and you know that. But like in the beginning, he just comes off like a psychotic guy who's just there for the money.
Really?
So I was very, very happy to see it does something very different. I feel bad for writing him off.
I must interpret science fiction differently because I just never had that thought for Amos or for Jane. I mean, I like Jane right away because he was the rogue, you know?
Yeah, no, I really like Jane, and Jane's the first one I thought of when I saw Amos, right? That's his role in the crew. And then I thought, well, that's all. The difference between Jane and Amos is exactly the difference in the writing in these two shows, right? In other words, Amos is not, he's a strong guy, but he's not a doof like Jane was, right? He's
smart,
and that was his foil.
He's not the comic relief.
No, exactly. He's not the comic relief, and so that told you within 2 or 3 episodes. Well, this is not Firefly.
Exactly.
All right, now it was a drop dead sexy crew, and Josh Whedon did a great job of writing Firefly, but that was a different world than this one.
Yes,
and it's almost as if the writers took advantage of our experiences of things like Firefly. They said, I'm going to give you a real Jane character, right? Someone like you said, who's not the comic relief. And Leandra, your comments about his looks, that's exact. Those looks that he gives are full of tension. He's simultaneously trying to figure out the world while judging himself. And it's not a stable state. It's just, it's an incredibly unstable state, right? What's going on? Sit here, don't move at all.
And you know, I'm thinking back too about the one scene that he has with Alex in that bar, where he's just, you know, Alex seems so uncomfortable watching people hook up, and especially 2 men hook up or 2 women hook up and stuff. And Amos is sitting there with his drinks and stuff. Well, I mean, you do what you got to do to survive. And Alex looked horrified to even think, you mean Amos might have done the same thing, you know, be in a brothel and stuff? He used to live in a brothel.
He is not judgmental at all. I
know, not uncomfortable at all. So I just love the Amos character. I really do.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complex than people just looking at somebody who's big and formidable and will shoot you. Yeah, they did a good job with him.
And he's a really good foil for all the other characters who didn't live that life. Right?
Yes.
In other words, one of the reasons he's so calm is because he knows everything there is to lose.
He lived that life.
He's been there before, and he survived, and he knows how he survived. And, you know, so he's, as you said earlier, Leandra, he's got this incredible protector vibe. His task is to find who's his trigger, right? Who's his moral compass to point him as to who the good guys are and the bad guys are. And like you said, it's a very reasonable way to carry yourself when that's who you are. So absolutely love it.
I have one more thing to say about Amos. One more thing to
people like that.
Oh yeah.
One more thing about Amos that I wanted to bring up that I forgot until just now is that in the very beginning, I really loved how you could see, I think it was probably the second episode, maybe the first, his and Naomi's relationship and how protective they were of each other. And that to me is what kept me from like not writing him off, because I was like, okay, she seems relatively normal, like not normal, but you know what I mean? Like, even
healthy.
Healthy.
She doesn't fly off the handle quickly or want to kill someone quickly. So obviously there's something in him that they're not showing us yet. So I'm not going to like discount him as just being this muscle. But what I do hope that we get in this next season that we haven't had yet is a little bit of backstory of how they came to be so ride or die for each other. Naomi and Amos, I mean.
No, absolutely. I'd love to see that.
and see what did it take for Amos to then make her that trusted moral compass, like we're talking about.
And what's so great about that writing is we were put in the same position as Holden was when he was starting to have a relationship. Like, hey, what's going on between you?
Oh, I thought his ass was gonna get beat.
I
did too. Good luck, skinny man.
He is awful skinny, isn't he? Though
he's so little.
I tell you what, I don't know if any of you are going to pick Holden. I didn't. Tell you what, though, the guy carries the role, man.
He does. He's very good, though.
I'm not saying little as in weak. I'm just saying,
yeah,
little.
Yeah,
I'm just saying he carries the role and he does it well. And nerd note, I'm a huge Roland Emmerich fan. He does those movies, Independence Day, Eight-Legged Freaks, all those wonderful B movies. There's a B movie called 10,000 BC.
Yes.
And James Holden, the guy who, I'm sorry, I should know his name, but I don't. He was the star of that movie probably like 10 years ago.
You know
what's that?
No, I'm sorry. Stephen Strait.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Just like I watch Golden Voyage of Sinbad every year. I love going into that B movie.
I do like the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. It was just on last week too.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic.
B-rated movies are not to be dissed.
Exactly.
Not young.
We all need to suck our thumb every once in a while, right? Just sit there and just
I don't need to do that anymore. I did that as a child. It took me forever to break myself. So
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to trigger you on the second thumb.
I'm a twin, so I have a twin brother, so that's my
awesome.
excuse.
Okay, Leandra, how about you? Favorite character, favorite line, favorite story, whatever.
So I don't know. I had to, but I'll explain in a minute. So I'll be honest, I am a huge fan of Chris, how do they say it? It's spelled like Christian, but they say it Kristen. So,
Christian Avasarala.
So the
Avasarala.
First of all, I love I can't say her name, and I'm so sorry.
I know it's Shara or something.
Yeah, Shara.
She's beautiful.
I'm actually looking at Agdushlum. Anyway, if she's listening to this, I'm so sorry. I love you. I have loved you forever.
Yeah, we love her.
She liked my Twitter post, right?
I was just gonna say, I Twittered Leandra because she wouldn't answer my Facebook thing, and I said, hey, do you watch Expanse? And she says, do you mean, do I love to watch a beautifully shot show that has this wonderful woman as the lead actress? And that woman liked her tweet.
I love that.
I was like, oh my God. So love her. So I'm a little biased, I'm going to say, but I do love Christian's character. One, he's a really great view of everything that's right and everything that's wrong with the way Earther politics are done. You know what I mean? And so I think watching her go head to head with Sadavir, the other dude that she was in the beginning, the way she kind of undermines him, the way she plays her femininity against him and like makes people think she doesn't know what's going on, but then comes out and just all of that was beautiful. That scene with her walking across the snow with her
with the red.
I mean, I fell down the Kinsey scale a little bit when I saw that.
Like, Lord have mercy.
So I love all of that. But the other thing I really, really love is you see her grapple with her decisions. And so when she makes the call that ultimately leads Sadavir to take his life, right? Where she basically puts him, she is so self-righteous about that. And she thinks that she's doing everything right. And then to see what he ultimately chooses as opposed to facing everything. Just that whole thing, the way that went down, the way she has that conversation with her husband, and then even before that, she's sitting on the roof and she's staring at the stars, and you can tell she's thinking about all the lives that she's impacting beyond Earth. And she's looking out there and she's wondering, what am I going to do about all of these people beyond Earth, right? And like how this is all coming in. You can tell she's really thoughtful, but in the moment she is ruthless, merciless. She gets mad when they ask her to be more maternal, which I was with her. I have been asked to be more maternal before, and let me tell you, I was like, yes, after them for that. And then when she makes the call too, blowing up the ship, and she loses the election because of it, and she recognizes that was her mistake, and she got what she deserved there. So I even love watching her get taken down a notch. Like, and the way she handled it with so much grace, and like, I messed up. I made the wrong call. I have to live with this. I don't know. Every time I see her, she just takes over the whole show. She's confident, but also human. And I love that. And my other favorite character was Bobby, the Martian who
Bobby
ends
Draper.
up meeting her. So when the two of them get together in that thing and they end up in that shootout and they're helping each other, like that was my dream come true. Like I would have given anything to be there. So.
I am 100% with you on everything that you said.
Yes.
My favorite scene, just visually, was watching her walk across that snow to Holden's family house in that red hooded coat and that white. Oh, it was just gorgeous. Everything they have her wear is gorgeous. I love that they have her heritage. They have her dressing her heritage so that we get to see all these beautiful, rich colors, and how she, even that one scene where she's at her desk. I can't remember what season it was now. I think it was season 5, and she's putting on all of her things because she had taken them
season
off.
5.
It was 5. Okay. Putting everything back on and just seeing how she's, okay, this is like my armor. That's like her armor. All of that jewelry and all of her saris and her, it's like she's got to put it on before she faces all these MFers. That's the other reason I love her. She don't mind cussing somebody out, which y'all know me. I won't do it on this one, but I like a good F word. That's another part of her character that I just love. She doesn't she don't care.
Yeah.
She's doing what she has to do for Earth, that's who she's trying to protect, Earth. And so even though she's making decisions about people in other places, and she's dealing with all of these life or death decisions, she had her main priority, at least in the beginning, is Earth, and making sure that they do what they can to protect the people there. And then as it evolves over the seasons, and she's kind of like displaced, and she's got to move up to Luna, and so things change. But I agree, I love all of her demureness, but also her cutthroatness, and she does it all in her charm, and she knows how to play each of those different aspects of herself to get what she needs to get done. And whether it goes good or goes bad, she owns up to her decisions.
Snap. That's one of the.
I love the way you said that. Each version of herself. She's not playing someone. She's not being someone she isn't. And the minute they ask her to be something that she's not, she gets mad. It's about putting forth the part of her that she knows can win what's in front of her, or like, can get done what needs to be done. She can read people so well. The whole missile crisis she handles, but doing it, I wouldn't have been able to do it, like in terms of like handing over the missiles and everything. So I love how you put that. And I didn't think about that before. Like, she's not playing someone different. She's just showing you a different side of who she is. And that, I think, is so important. Particularly, again, I'm going to keep saying that they should have never been like, you need to be more maternal. She's like, I lost my son. This is not part of my job to be your mama. And I love that. Like, I've been there, done that. That is not what this Earth, this planet needs. Right. And so.
Yeah, she's one of those characters that really shows me this show is not preachy. This show lets people be as complex as they are. And she doesn't have to be, the show doesn't try to cast her as being right or wrong. It doesn't cast any character as if they're being right or wrong. They're all in impossible situations. And like you said, the fact that she owns up to it, the fact that she brings whatever of her strengths she needs to bear at the moment to solve that problem. Sorry, that's just adult life, y'all. That's just what we all do.
In my opinion, I think the best drawing of Christian is how contradictory she is. Yes, she has said to others, how dare you ask me to be more maternal? And once she goes to see Holden's family, that's what she does. Yeah. She's very maternal. That's when she sees when she sees that diplomatically, whatever diplomatically is to her, it's not working, then she's going to do the mother thing. Yeah. Exactly.
That's what she used to get what she needed to get done. So like we said, she's not, it's not that she's not maternal, but that's not what's going to work in that situation over here. Yep. But it worked in that situation at the farm.
Exactly.
So
the only problem I had with her character, and I didn't have a problem with her character. The only thing that I found jarring for me is I meant to write down what season it was, but I think it was season 2. It was either season 2 or season 3. I think it was season 2. They changed her husband.
Yeah, they
Yes.
did.
The whole
Yes.
dynamic was
Okay.
different.
So
To me,
Where's
the
my
whole
husband?
her whole dynamic was different,
Yeah.
and
I
I did
thought
not
he
like
was a
the new
boyfriend.
guy. Yeah,
I seriously,
too.
Adam and I got in we were like, who is this person? And he's standing over here.
exactly. I did not
Like-
like the fact that they changed him. I'm
I
it's
had
like
to
she
go
was having an
look.
affair. It's
I
like she was
thought-
having an affair.
I thought he was her like political manager, and she just happened to be sleeping with him because her husband got
No,
mad and moved.
They
to Lewis.
changed the
And,
character.
and I had to
They
look it
changed
up,
the
and I was like,
actor.
no, that's her husband. And Adam and I could
Yeah.
not stand it. I literally
They
spent.
should've
I
did
did
like
not
five
like him
seasons.
either.
I didn't like
and
him.
it just changed it for me. But now,
He was too soft.
for
The
me,
other one
from
was
the
more like-
point that she got snookered on that ship from that Mal, trying to kill her, excuse me,
Yeah.
kill her.
Mhm.
I just love her. I just love
I
her.
love her
And
too.
I felt so bad for her with the gravity situation, because she wasn't used to that. But that
Exactly.
was so good, though. Wasn't that good? She did
Yes.
so good. And they had to explain to her how to use the gravity boots. That was excellent.
And
Oh,
I
and
absolutely,
she was cussing the whole way because she didn't
She
want
was.
to have it. But she knew that that's how she could be saved. So,
she's in that world of politics and diplomacy.
yes.
She's got Amos level skills when it comes to dealing with crap in the immediate moment, right?
Yes.
And that scene where Amos sees her and
Yes.
practically hits on her is just wonderful.
And
That's-
I
love
did
how
love when
Amy-
she was like, don't kill anyone while you're down there. Get out.
And I love so much how Amos, like we were saying, don't give up, and neither does she.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He walks in, hey Chrissy, how you doing? Da, da, da. She's like, don't call me Chrissy, I'll have you killed. Okay, Chrissy, I'll see you later. And he just goes on. I just love that so much. I love it. And I think she even like I'm not even gonna correct him anymore because it's just
she loved
part
it
of the-
though.
Wow.
She loved it though. She
Well,
loved
these,
it.
got
these
love
are
from
two
them.
killers who know they're both killers.
Exactly.
He's a real killer and
She
she's a diplomatic
recognized that.
killer.
Well,
She-
what they
yeah.
say, real recognize real.
Exactly.
No, she loved him. I am
Ah.
convinced that for some reason I was like, what is their backstory? Because they're both instantly and she's like, look, just don't kill anybody. Go do your thing.
I know
They're
they're instantly that's a good point. They are
Buddies.
like buds,
Their chemistry was way too nice. And I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe
It was good.
the actors are good or what, but that whole scene had me just tripping out.
It
I
was
like,
great.
Well, the
I
actors
love
are
it.
good, and then the depth of the writing is that good that
Oh,
in an
it's
instant,
excellent
boom,
writing.
as you said, real is real, real gets real, and it makes perfect sense that he acts the way he does and she acts the way she does, because she's around so many fools all the time.
fools.
He's around
too.
so many fools all the time, and to get someone who gets real, it's just like, okay, I see you,
Breath of
we're
fresh
good.
air.
You know,
Mhm.
you
And
do.
did y'all notice they both relaxed around each other in a way that
Yes, they
Yes.
do.
she was lounged back a little bit and then she kind of leans forward and he was completely comfortable. That's why again I had to ask Adam, did I just forget something from other seasons? Have they been together before?
No.
Mm,
I don't
No,
know.
that was
They
the
haven't,
first-
right? They
No.
were just
No.
so instantly comfortable.
Mm-mm.
Well, I
don't
think
know.
as
And I think
writers,
that's what but
Go
I
ahead.
think looking at it now, I think that's what we're supposed to get. I think that's supposed to be a part of the explanation of both of their personalities.
yes, that
Or
they get
maybe
each
she helped
other.
him get off world when he changed his identity, right?
Mm.
Maybe she had something to do with that back in the day.
Well, as a writer, when you
Could
can
be.
bring those characters that you would call different, and you
Yes.
find out they're basically the same, and you accentuate that by putting them in this space together, and they both have their same reactions at their different worlds, but they're the same reaction in that
Mhm.
world. That's like,
Yeah,
as a writer, that's an accomplishment and it's an achievement. And
it is.
as a viewer, it's just drop dead sexy from top to bottom.
Listen, a
Yes.
whole bunch of stuff
Yeah,
happened.
it
I'm
is
just telling
excellent.
you, this show is good.
It
It's
is.
really good.
So good.
And I have to say, it starts with the writing. It just starts
Yes.
with the writing
But-
and the commitment to excellence
Right.
after that on
But
everybody's part.
even but for me the other character that's I think the most profound for me is the mythology of the whole story. Their mythology of the Belters as opposed to the Martians, as opposed to Earth. And Earth has two worlds now here, Earth and Luna, you know, and I just love the mythology.
Yes, it all makes sense.
And then and now we got the ring, you know, and it's just
the ring is my favorite character, by the way.
It is a character, though, all its own. It really is.
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll go to Sistah Kay. Favorite line, favorite character, favorite storyline.
I mean, so Christian is one of my. I don't know if I could have just one.
Okay, well, two have been taken off the table.
I know.
Two have been taken off.
She's my top, though. One of my top favorites. And the other is Bobby Draper.
Love Bobby Draper.
I love her. And in the books, they just make her this larger. I mean, I know they can't always do that in a show, but she's this larger than life person, even without her armor on. But she's also still a person. So it's not like she puts the armor on to kind of shield herself from anything. She's not like a hardened person. She's just aware, always aware, and still herself, and still a woman, and still you know, all of that stuff. So they didn't just make her this hard, take no nonsense person. She still has emotions and feelings and conversations and laughs and has fun and all that kind of thing. I don't know, something about her character I just really enjoy a lot. And I think it's because she is such a badass soldier, but then she's also a friend, and she's also not a soldier, and she's also trying to do what she thinks is best for her world. I was going to say country, but for her world, Mars. But then she realizes, oh, they've been doing some trickery. So what she's, you know, so what she thought she was protecting isn't really what her how she went into it thinking that it was. And then she's kind of like switching her mindset a little bit. And how does she change from being this Martian soldier Marine and not being a Marine when that's what she's done for so long? And then now she's teamed up with Christian, which I love them together. I just love them so much.
Power.
I need more scenes with them together, because Bobby kind of can give it back to Christian, and Christian will give it to Bobby, and she'll kind of take it in and respect, but she also is like, I'm not just going to do everything you tell me to do.
Right.
So
but
anyway,
her route to Christian was very circuitous, though. She was a thief and a criminal. And I thought that was highly interesting, being that she was a soldier. Bobby, she was stealing that stuff for that man.
Yeah, that was later.
That's after.
Well,
but she's doing it. Yeah, that's because she was doing it on the behest of Christian. She would not have been doing that, but she was undercover trying to get information about those missing ships.
Well,
and that's the only reason
she would.
I think that was a little later.
Yeah,
I think at first she was stealing, because for me, Draper tells us what the Martian mythology is, right? She's committed to the mission of Mars with her body and her soul, and we learn what Mars is all about by her character. And then they put her in these situations with these, you know, these Martian leaders that aren't committed like she is, which is what happens to grunts in the military all the time anyway. And she feels betrayed, and no one falls harder than a believer, right? And she falls hard.
She did.
And does a little thievery here, and then something goes wrong there, and then she reaches out to Christian,
right,
and becomes a spy.
But she was not undercover first. No. That police officer blackmail. Now he did blackmail her into it, though.
Yeah, he did.
No, you're right. You're right. But I do think
about her nephew, though, right? Like,
yes, for her nephew,
doing it for him.
Yeah, because he blackmailed her.
I think it was Alex who actually reached out to her about those ships, because he was trying to help Holden figure it out. And then Christian got anyway. But I do love her character. I love Naomi. I love Holden. I love all of them.
Yeah, all of them are really good.
All of them.
Can I just like go back to what Scott was saying too about like when she realizes that like Mars isn't like all on the up and up or whatever. Can you imagine not just betraying like a country, but an entire world to tell the truth?
Yeah.
But that's her
She
whole
does.
mythology too. It's like their whole religion and everything. Think how devastating that is.
Yeah, and I think the way she didn't do it without forethought. She really struggled with it. She got physically
She
sick.
did.
She goes.
She
to the
did. She got
ocean,
broken
like,
down.
she
did.
takes on everything. She's really strong, and the fact that she was able to hold on. It would have been so easy to lie and just walk away.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And like the humanity of that, I love, and the strength and the beauty of that is what I think really attracts me to her character. So yes, I agree. When her and Christian get together, it's like they're opposites in some ways. A Politico versus the believer who, you know, kind of does the right thing regardless of the outcome. But man, just watching her struggle with that when they're in that sort of UN situation meeting between the worlds, like so good. So good.
And the whole scene that I don't remember what season it was, where she's asked to testify and lie, right? That they shot first.
Yes.
And then she I gotta see the ocean. I mean,
I know. Wasn't that just, it was sad, but also cute. But I just felt so bad for her. Like, she just wanted to go see the ocean, people, and they was trying to deny her that.
Well, the ocean is like Martian heaven.
Right, because you see her looking at what Martian life is supposed to be like. So she sees that view of Mars in 100 years, whatever. Like that's her aim. Her aim is not conquest. Her aim is not to win.
Exactly.
Her aim is to have Mars terraformed and you know, the thing that she has. And so, and I also love that moment when she goes to the ocean because she runs into the people, you know, the Earthers who kind of tell her what it's really like to be on Earth, and they help her.
Yes.
They
Wasn't that a good scene? That was a good scene.
Like I love that. That whole thing was just like, that's humanity. And
that was a good scene. But did you get the feeling that was like her spirit guide or something? Because she looked around and he was gone. That's what I thought.
A little bit more of like that, you know, sort of inspirational. You're not really sure if they're there or not. And I don't know if we'll ever find out because I don't think that was the point, right? But I think that would be a really interesting take that she
well, that's also consistent with the idea that, you know, encountering the ocean was a spiritual event for her.
That's the way I interpreted that. That's the way I interpreted that.
They don't have water like that.
Exactly.
And one thing I love about this series, guys, we're sitting here talking about 50 hours worth of stuff, and we all know what we're talking about. You gotta be pretty damn good if you can write 50 hours of stuff, and we all know the moment you're talking about. It's fantastic.
But think about that though. That was the spiritual moment for her.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I think they did it beautifully because
it was a sewer. It was a sewer dump site, by the way, and it was a magical moment for her. And I just love that she was like, I don't care where it's at. I'm going to see that damn ocean before I go over my life.
I'm on my vision quest.
Sewer dump site. Like,
because she had to also adjust to the gravity as well. I mean, she did a better job because she's, you know, Martian. But when she first ran out, I thought, oh no, is she going to fall or whatever? Because you know, she wasn't used to being in those open spaces on Earth gravity either.
Yeah,
they did a good job with her. Yeah,
they did, and then they put her in all these spaces. They put her in the contact with what's the name of the pilot who's a Martian?
Alex.
They put her in contact with Alex, and that opens this whole new world of relationship for her. That for a while she thought the Rocinante was a stolen ship, right?
Exactly, because it's a Martian ship.
And I had that shield on there that says this is legitimate salvage.
Yeah, I mean,
she's
the thing is,
she's not wrong.
Tyrion, right? That she's the character that gets to bounce around and meet all the other characters.
Yeah.
You know,
now don't go Game of Thrones on us anymore.
I was going to say no.
I'm just saying, Tyrion just comes to mind. Like there's always that one character.
You can talk Game of Thrones all you want after we see the last season of the show.
Tyrion. It's just there's always that character that connects all the other characters.
Yeah.
She's the one who does that. She's the one who's met pretty much everybody at this point. She's the one that like has all these ties that I think if you pull the knot, she would complete the circle. Like
she hasn't met Drummer yet.
That's true.
Drummer's one of my favorites.
Oh my God, I love Drummer.
Actually, I like the way Drummer speaks her Belter language better than anybody else.
Totally.
She does.
Yeah, better than Miller and everybody. Her accent is just wonderful.
No, she's
I almost said
amazing.
her tonight.
Yeah,
I
like
gotta tell
her.
you, she's my second. I love everyone that you
I
guys
really
mentioned,
like
but
her.
I love her compassion. I just watched the scene where she's in the impossible situation where she had to kill her
I know.
belter ships. And I'm
Yes.
not sure if I'm getting the timing right, but there's this scene where she goes back into a room by herself and she just screams her head
Yes.
off.
Yes.
And I said, oh, thank God other people do that. I don't feel crazy.
Oh, you do that, Scott, huh?
Well, yes, I do that. Men, the world's insane, right? We're all trying to walk through it, thinking we know what's going on. But on that note, I'm going to go to my favorite character storyline. It's the Miller Julie Mao line and the proto molecule. That for me, as I watched The Expanse a second time, and I paid more and more attention to Miller, there's just so many things I resonated to. For example, he's a belter born on Sirius, so he's never been to Earth, never been off Sirius, yet he doesn't speak like a belter. He speaks English.
Yes.
He doesn't wear belter clothes. He wears a detective outfit circa 1950 United States, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So he's definitely someone who is never at home, right? He works for a private, an Earther private security firm on Sirius, trying to impose the law on the belters. So he's part of the problem. And his belter colleagues know that. You see that play out all throughout. So he's a guy that's never really had a Draper level faith, right? He's gotten through his life, and they write him to kind of be down and out and kind of cynical, and I get that. And then the whole Julie Mao thing comes into his life, and he just finds himself chasing something he feels it's his spirit quest, right? He's never chased, he doesn't know why he's chasing this. He was asked to do it, but he doesn't know why it matters so much. And then he just falls in love with her truth, right? Here's a rich, privileged girl from Earth, and she's trying to help the belters, and he's a belter and he's not. But he's never been able to experience Dawes or any of those other guys as authentic and real. They don't seem real. But when he sees, or he doesn't even see Julie Mao, he just knows of her, right? And learns about her. It's like suddenly he never felt real, but he's seeing what he thinks is real. And then he encounters her in that shower, which is one of the best damn scenes in sci-fi ever. It's just incredibly harsh and incredibly good. And then, guys, for Miller to stick around for the rest of the seasons as the mouthpiece of the proto molecule is just pure heaven for me. Because the whole thing, when they go through the ring and then they end up on a new planet, and he stays in Holden's head, and he's fighting with the creators of that killed off the proto molecule species. And then at the end, he catapults himself into this hunk of metal and scrapes his way up to I love this story of a guy who never belonged, finding a bit of truth, following it to the point where we could say Miller died, right? But that conversation he has, that scene he has with Julie Mao when they're surrounded by proto molecule, I do wish, honestly, that he hadn't kissed her on the lips. And it's not that I was looking for a daddy-daughter relationship. I was looking for something asexual. I was looking for something basically about this is my spirit quest and I found truth. They did what they did, but that was a spiritual scene for me. Someone who never really felt they belonged, finding something they felt they belonged to, and then basically pressing the nuke. And no, they didn't press the nuke. He said, hey, baby, we got to go to Venus. You can't be going to Earth. So that's my favorite.
Let me ask you this question. By the time we got to the part with Julie Mao, to me, it solidified my thought for myself. But the shower scene where Miller was in the shower and his water rations ran out, so he couldn't rinse out all the shampoo, I immediately thought of The Fifth Element. He's the Bruce Willis character.
Yeah. No, very good point.
The whole way through, and especially that scene where they're surrounded by the proto molecule and he kisses her.
Oh yeah.
I thought, okay, that's Fifth Element. That's what I thought. Now I don't know.
Yeah, and he found his heaven in that moment. He found his heaven, and I'm going to cheat just a little bit here, and talk about the proto molecule, because this is such a better character than the Night King from Game of Thrones.
Oh, absolutely. Wasn't it? Ooh.
Now you might want to think the proto-molecule is the big baddie. It's not the big baddie. It's nothing but change, man. It's just straight up change that we don't understand, and it just keeps changing. And what I love about it is, well, so do we, but we don't pay attention, right? It just keeps changing and changing. And I love the way it just makes everybody's human in relationships more intense, more compact, more, cliff notesy. Like, we got to get to the business because we don't get this thing. That is such a great, I don't know if you call it a villain, but it's so much
but it's
better
like
than
a virus. It's like a virus, algae, bacteria, everything. It's even like cockroaches.
No, exactly.
They've been around millions of years and they still here.
And they're not going away.
They're not going away.
And
that but I thought that proto molecule, the whole business, I thought that was excellent. Yep. From a sci-fi point of view, that's a really good storyline, I think.
And how many of you guys goosebumps when that huge jellyfish launched off of Venus with all that stuff and then took off somewhere and then started creating this, and we're just sitting there going, what, Star Wars, Star Trek, what is this? And no frame of reference. And that's exactly the space the characters are in, right? No frame of reference. We just got to deal, yo. And then it just keeps changing. I love it. And for me, Miller was just a great way to, for me, Miller is the proto-molecule, right? And he just kind of pushes that through the story. And I love it because he never belonged.
He was a good character, though. Very good character, though.
Acted the crap out of that role.
Because you are all about like a good detective story, right? Like, you've always been, and that's what he was, and that's what drew you to him. And I will say, with the proto-molecule, you brought up how like it's just all about change. And one of the things that I've learned, that you're taught, is that like the apocalyptic storyline is so successful. We really like this idea of the end of everything, when really the apocalypse is just nothing but change. It's just the veil between what's known and what's not.
It's the end of this and the start of that.
Against the inevitable apocalypse, where like it's not the end of the world, it's just the end of what you know. And so I love the idea of looking at the proto-molecule is just sort of this another ushering in of a different era, and watching all the humans freak out about it,
love it.
It's great. It's a great story catch, and they're doing it in a way that's much better than the Matrix, I'll say. So.
And then what it did to the Martians when the ring opened up. It's like, oh my God, why do we got to struggle and toil on a rock when we can just go somewhere else? And that was part of Draper's fall, right? Is just, oh crap, all of this doesn't matter. I can just get on a ship and go somewhere else.
But I think that's why the Martian government sided with
the Belters,
Naomi's baby daddy,
Yeah, no,
I think that's probably why, because they say, wait, why should we toil and do all this stuff? We can go in the ring and go to one of these other planets that's very Earth-like.
Yes, and don't have to do all this work here. Exactly. We don't have to indoctrinate young
walking away from the dream.
Right.
Oh, that's so
because those Martians are
so infuriating.
What is his name anyway? Marco
Inaros.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they are with him. We found that out before the series ends. So yeah, I'm sure.
I wonder if we're going to find out he's actually their tool, right? In other words,
that'd be interesting though.
Because they need him. I mean, he hurls a bunch of rocks to Earth, which they could never do and not get nuked.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen with him is he's going to succumb to by the hand of his son. That's what I think.
I think it's Naomi. I think she's going to go in there and be like, listen.
No, I think Philip's going to kill his daddy.
But I was going to say, Amos, got a job for you.
I think Philip's going to kill his daddy. Yeah.
Well, they're really torturing Phil, aren't they?
I know.
They're just torturing the hell out of Phil, man. I mean, what I love about this show is that suddenly I'm watching Naomi talk to this former lover who she had a son with, who was like millions and millions and millions of miles away from her. She happens to get there, and I don't care how she got there. You know what I'm saying? It all just makes sense.
You're right.
How'd you wait, that planet? What? Of course. And you don't sit there and go, but how was that logically possible? And I love it that I just get to absorb these characters and their struggles and go, what? Love it. So we talked about all of our favorite characters, favorite lines, whatever. We talked about a bunch of. I do want to give everybody the opportunity to bring something up that perhaps we didn't discuss.
Well, let's talk about Naomi's switch.
Go ahead, bring it up.
Yeah, I thought it was a little trite myself. I thought it was just a plot device so she could go over there and argue with her baby daddy. I didn't like it because I just don't feel like the way we were built up with her and Holden's relationship, that's the way it would have went.
Okay, so do me a favor and refresh me on exactly the scene kind of stuff that happened, because I know she told him, no, you can't go with me, but
okay. From a mother's point of view, I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Yeah,
they got somebody riding Naomi. She has not seen her son in 18, 20 years, whatever it was, because he was a little baby, and she thinks, because she's found out that he is with his daddy, who's creating havoc, that she thinks going over to a ship where her son is with his father, creating havoc, is going to be a good thing, and she can talk him out of what? Coming with her? No. No. And so for me, anyway, so when they confine her to her room and all this stuff, I didn't care. I thought, wait a minute. And I kept saying to the TV, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Well,
I was so mad.
You're sitting here totally destroying my recent argument. I don't care how she got there because no one else did. What the hell?
But I think you
traveled 3 months to get here. Are you serious? Go to your room. I mean,
I was just so annoyed. I did feel sorry for her though.
Yeah.
When she escaped and went to that bomb rigged ship. I felt sorry for her because she was not only was she alone, but she was, none of the electronics was working enough so she could get even a distress call out. So that was very nerve-wracking to me. But I did say a couple times, even on those scenes, that's what you get.
Anybody else want to respond to that?
But I think, I don't think it was that quick because, well, it was kind of quick, but they kind of gave some foreshadowing because that one, when all those rocks were going to Earth and destroying Earth, and then there was a, that shuttle that she was on, and she saw that little boy and his mother. That's to me what kind of triggered her to think of her son again and thinking of this life and death situation. Now, I don't know if
20 years later,
TV show that they really were able to bring that emotion up slow enough to where it didn't feel like such a sudden thing to see that she's always had this thought in her mind about him. She's always been thinking about her son, because it's hard to portray on a TV show without her saying it. Right. Or having pictures to see of this little boy or something. But I know in the book they really do. It's not sudden like it was.
Okay, they build it up a little more.
All right. Okay.
Hey,
they should have built it up then.
Y'all brought up earlier though that Amos is like her son. I think she's had someone that she's been able to pour that motherly love into. He's kind of pulling away. He's becoming healthier and he's adapting, and he doesn't need her quite as much. And I think, that hole is there. But I agree with you. This is the one time with Naomi that I'm kind of like, you almost died to save Holden when he was stuck on the planet, and
thank you.
And then you're gonna leave his ass and during the one of the most important points of your life. I get why she did it. I think I may have actually done it too, but for a totally different reason, which was that I don't want you killing anybody because you're in love with me.
Well, I will admit, as a guy, when I watched that scene and I, thought about that plot twist, I felt like Marvin in the back seat of in Pulp Fiction. I don't even have an opinion, right?
I like the Pulp Fiction reference.
That is almost my favorite scene. Not how it turns out, but just Marvin's. I don't even have an opinion. I just love, and I can't tell you how many contexts I use that in when I'm just like, no, this is not my element. But I gave him grace. I just said, okay, I'm gonna go with it. I did kind of feel like it's going to take you 3 months to get there. Can't you just hang out here for 3 months at least, and then go? But and I don't remember, did she have some data to indicate she knew that her son was with Marco at that moment? Or
Yes, because Fred got her
Okay.
that information because she asked Fred to look for him.
Yeah, to find her son.
find
Remember?
Yeah. Okay.
And
No,
I think
that's right.
Also, what they didn't portray it good. Well, she felt guilt really about when her and Marco were together. She didn't realize he was so I don't know,
Radical.
Yeah, thank you. That's the right word. That he was so radical. So that here they were doing these little missions to try to rebel against the establishment or whatever, ended up killing a whole bunch of people.
Right.
She had this guilt with her, but I don't know if that's easy to portray. And then when she finds out that her son helped kill millions, billions of people on Earth and other places, that all comes back up. Like, I don't want him caught up like I was with Marco.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to actually go and fight to try to get him away from him, because I had to fight to get myself away from Marco. And I think that's where really what kind of pushed her to go that far and to go try, even though I'm with you. She should have known it wouldn't have been that easy to do, because he'd been told whatever he was told all these years.
Obviously, he was told a whole bunch of shit because he was really.
But that's what daddies like that do.
Yeah.
Right. That's what daddies like that do, is they fill a story, and he keeps hugging this guy, telling him your mother left you. And it's like, Jesus, man, I think he's heard it a million times by now.
A father doesn't hurt their kid intentionally like that. He knows that hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, this guy is, and Leandra, you be the expert. I think this guy is clearly diagnosable as a straight up narcissist, right?
Yes, he's a narcissist.
I mean, they work real hard.
And he's psychopathic too.
Exactly. They work real hard in that fifth season.
Histrionic, to be honest.
Oh, terribly. The speeches, man. But they work really hard to put him in these situations with Naomi and the son, right? Philip, to have him reveal, it's about me.
Yes.
It's about me.
Yes.
And all these different scenes are there. And what that does is, for us, justify Naomi leaving. She said, real sees real. And she saw it 20 years ago. This guy is a nutcase. And no, I'm not going to kill these people for him. Yeah. And all she could do was walk away. There was a line she used, and I didn't know how I felt about it. It was one of those lines where the writer wrote the scene, and it's all supposed to come to that line. It's sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. And I'm not quoting it. I'm sure I'm not quoting it, but there's a part of me that resonates to that. And what would come with that is, regardless of how you feel afterwards, right? The guilt, the loss, the whatever loss of self-respect, the best thing I can do at that moment is walk away, because if I had stayed, I would have been doomed. That makes some sense to me, but I wasn't sure if anyone else heard that line and thought it mattered.
I don't remember that line, but I do think
I thought about how many times I've actually walked away. Or just, is that really the best I could do?
I don't know. Okay, so we're talking about, and I'll be real honest. Like, the idea of like mother walking away from their child is a bit personal for me, so I just ignore this whole storyline. I'm gonna be honest.
Snap. I mean, absolutely.
And she didn't really walk away. He took him.
Yeah, he took him. There's like that, but then there's also like, I have to, like, I don't know.
And one reason
is different,
which is so smart how the book and the show is written, is the one reason why she's obviously way overqualified for the job she has on that first ship is because she's trying to hide away from the fact that she was a killer of whatever. I can't remember what the situation was that her and Marco were in. She's trying to hide the fact of who she was and what she was involved in. She doesn't want anyone to know who she is.
Right.
Of course,
that's one thing they've done really well, writing her character. They've showed us a fantastic, complex person.
Yes.
But what they've written in the background is, like in season 1 or 2, but she's OPA, and they doubted her, right? And some people had some words about her backstory. So those words are floating out there about her, but we see who she is when she lives. And I think that was all done on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And when we get to this latter point, I just love the way this show generates all these believable, impossible situations. just impossible situations. And when drummer's in the back room screaming by herself, it's like, hell yes, yell again, because I'm gonna come there.
Well, they did a good job though with Naomi in that once she got over to Marco's ship, her reputation preceded her, because everybody on there knew, oh, this is the Naomi Nagata, So she had a reputation, irrespective of Marcos, I think. And Drummer has mentioned that as well. So what's his name? Cleese, the captain that took over for Drummer. It's
Commander.
It's like K-L-E-A-S.
Commander
That's his first name.
Ashford.
Clay Ashford.
Yeah. Him. I like him.
Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about Clay Ashford for a second. What I loved about him is what he did for Drummer's character, right? He was put in there to show us how complex she was. She did not like him at first. Then they went through that whole situation where she was wedged between the two vehicles.
But she didn't, it's not that, I don't think it's that she didn't like him. They had history too.
Yeah.
He had a reputation too.
Yeah.
And she had a reputation. This is what I got from their interactions. She had a reputation separate from his, but they were in the same battle. You know what I mean? Like long ago or whatever.
Well, so her people don't like, she's kind of like Miller, in my opinion, a little bit, because her people, where she's from, they think of her as kind of a traitor because she worked for Fred Johnson.
Yes.
And so she was kind of caught in between the two worlds, and she really wasn't one way or another. She was just trying to do the best she could.
Yeah, it's very well said.
Yeah.
And she got kind of caught between them. And she didn't want to be all OPA, or she didn't want to be all whatever.
And she's the one who ends up blowing up the OPA.
Mm-hmm.
Blowing them up.
I like her character.
No,
I
love her character.
Really like that
just
character.
Listen to her talk all day.
I know. I love her accent.
I need her and Christian in the same room.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I'm going to say this, and I won't say it again. This is what Game of Thrones wanted to be. Right. This is what they wanted to be. And if Martin had finished the novels before they did the whole show, I think it could have played out that way. But that just those one-liners, oh no, throne, that's like the whole series we've seen up to that point, right?
Yeah.
And no, she's an incredible badass, and she wears her tension on her skin, on her sleeve rather. And I really like the goth look. Right. I love the
but it fits her.
Eyes.
It fits her.
So incredibly cool. Yeah. So we haven't talked about Holden, and and I'm gonna say there are things that I really like about how they wrote Holden. I gotta admit, I was a little challenged when everybody started saying, "Okay, you're the captain. Okay, you're the captain. Okay, you're the captain." But they did, and we move on from there. But what I admired about his leadership, dare I say, is that he figured out who was good at what and let them run it when it got to that point. So just like Christian, brings her best assets, whatever they are, to bear in a context, Holden let whoever had the best expertise in that space do it. And of course, he's charged with making a decision. And of course, in groups, you tend to need that. Otherwise, the group goes away, right? Someone's got to decide we're going left. Everybody just dies. So I enjoyed the fact that they wrote a character like that. And he basically led by acknowledging everyone else's expertise and then encouraging them to express it in the moment when the team needed it the most. So it is a leadership role, but it's not about me leadership role. And I thought that's a good thing for the world to see. And I'll just leave it at that.
I think one of the best characterizations of him was, I believe it's even in episode 1, where he is fixing up this fake coffee. And it took me a minute to realize, well, what the crap are they fixing? It was fake coffee. You think how, And when you go back and watch that scene, just imagine how nasty that tastes, you know.
Oh Lord!
But then when they get this Martian ship, it's got a whole complement of coffee. See, I'm a coffee drinker, so you know, I love that. He was just like in heaven from all this coffee. So I thought that was a good characterization of him. But I also like how they revealed his backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, to be the offspring of a commune of 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is so interesting to me. Mm-hmm. That is just so interesting to me.
All their DNA.
All their DNAs. Mm-hmm. And then like his mother said, but I was the chosen one to, you know, carry the baby to term and stuff. But I just think that whole mythology is just fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Very creative. And
he's got the same protective vibe as Amos. He just hasn't been through the same crap as Amos.
Exactly.
Right. So he doesn't live at that level, but he respects Amos's level. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's coming. I think
it's coming.
So too.
Wait for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I love it.
I love, you know, and like I said, my favorite scene is the first one we see with Holden. So you know.
And that's why they put it there for all you youngsters.
I'm part of the youngster crowd. Hell yeah.
I mean, I kind of would have preferred it or a couple of other characters, but you know, I'll do it. But like, I will say, like, I get a little bored with like the really good guy who's always the good guy.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And I like that, particularly at the end of season 4, I feel like there is a time where he isn't necessarily making the right calls.
Exactly.
And he does get aggressive with Naomi. He does make decisions that other people are not agreeing with. And so it was nice to see. I mean, he still kind of comes back in the end as being like, you know, the nice guy. He's like, let me come help you save your son. But I'm glad they didn't always keep him solely in the I don't make wrong decisions.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm the savior all the time. Like, I think anyone with
even
DNA is gonna have some competing things, right? You know,
exactly. Well, but he started out getting everybody killed.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly. He answered that distress call, and he let everybody think it was somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
You say these things and we remember them. Go ahead.
He had the good intentions.
Oh God.
And that's what I think. He always thinks he's doing it to save or to help someone. He wants to help. He wants to do what he can, but he doesn't think through
exactly
what that one decision is going to cause to fall and create this mess.
Mm-hmm.
That you're right. He ended up getting his whole
crew killed.
And of course the rest of this.
Yeah.
And exactly. And the rest of the series, he says, this is on me. This is on me. Now, I will admit that gets a little old. It's like, well, then brother, step down. Okay. I mean, if you can't handle it, get out the kitchen, right? Because, you know, there is a burden with taking the hit for being a leader. Then find the people you can talk to about it. And in the back room, scream your head off like drummer, right? Find your friends, go get drunk and talk it out. But it's on me. Gets a little old. Of course it's on you, dude. You said you'd say yes or no. Mm-hmm. And what I love about this show is you have to say yes or no. We shoot on nukes or not.
Yeah.
And this is what we tend not to understand about politics is you've got to make a binary choice in a world that isn't binary. And I love all of these hyper complex people struggling with, do we go through the ring or not? Who gets to run the ring? Do we set up a Madeira station or not? And these people got to make these choices. And I love how I feel like most of the show is backstory for these binary choices they got to make, right? I mean, what led you to make that choice? Well, what led Draper to become a thief? Well, you know, all these things happened. You know, what led to her saying to Christian, I want to work for you, right? Those are binary moments. You know, like you said, real gets real writing gets real. And, you know, I'm quite convinced they're going to seal the deal in season 6. I think they're going to do a great job. And
now, did they already announce that this is going to be the final season or not?
What I understand
is just season 6.
what I understand is that this is the final season. However,
Okay.
those who've seen it have said it left open space.
Ooh, okay.
Like a
So-
movie. I'd take that.
Okay, you guys, and you guys aren't going to like this, but actually, the reason that the Expanse, or you may not, I don't know. The reason the Expanse still exists is because Bezos loves it.
Good.
When Sci-Fi canceled it, Bezos called to Amazon, said, "We need to buy this."
Take it.
Amazon said no. Bezos said yes, and
You
they
know what?
bought it, and it's freaking
Good.
gorgeous. I can't believe the
I'm so
quality
happy
they
they
kept
did.
up.
You know what
Oh, the
though?
quality
That
is
reminds me.
fantastic.
I watch TCM a lot, and they had a whole retrospective on Lucille Ball. I
Oh
had
my
no, and
gosh.
I love Lucy, but I had no idea. The only reason Star Trek, the original 1966
Mhm.
TV series Star Trek, got produced is because Lucille Ball was a science fiction nut, and she financed that.
Isn't that just the best
Wow, I didn't
story
know
That's
you
a
that.
heard?
wonderful thing, and I love
Wow.
her anyway. So, but yeah,
That's awesome.
Lucille Ball
Yes.
said no. She bought the rights and everything. Said no, this will get made, and that's how that series started.
I
I
love it.
love hearing
I
that too.
love
Because that's not like she went around bragging about that either, right? Like I just
No,
that.
she
I
did
wouldn't
a
have
whole
found that
lot
out.
of stuff like that that you just never even knew. I tell you,
Powerhouse.
she was a very smart businesswoman, though.
Oh my
She really
God.
was.
We might be going to left a little bit, but I feel the need to. There were memes that came out after Shatner went into space of Kirk looking out into space and Shatner looking out into space. My heart just felt complete
Loved
watching.
it.
I just
And I don't know
though.
why. I don't know why the Sulu guy was dissing him on Twitter, but he just
well,
got all bent out of shape because William Shatner got to go up in this. I thought it was great to be in isn't he in his 90s? Isn't he 90?
joke.
Is he?
Yeah, he's
Yes.
very, very close to it.
And I mean, to go into space for real. I
Yeah.
mean, what a blessing for
I think
him.
it stems around the money that the people are spending to
Oh
do it.
no, exactly.
No, and I
That's
will
where a
say
lot of
I
it
got
comes-
ticked off because someone said he's the first Star Trek character to do it, and he's not. Mae Jemison was an astronaut before she was ever on Star Trek. So they can kick
Exactly.
my ass.
Exactly.
That's why I
true.
got pissed off, and I was like, no.
Okay.
No,
And
no,
I
no.
so people got their facts wrong. The Twitterverse. For me, growing up and watching Star Trek as this utopia version of our future.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with
I don't
you.
care
I
if
get-
it can
I get
ever
that,
happen.
Right.
It's
I'm
just-
with
It was
you, Scott.
good.
I loved it. And I watched every episode more than twice in my
And I gotta
lifetime.
tell you-
And
That was that when
it's-
William Shatner was hot too. That's why I like.
oh yeah.
Wait,
he was
wait. An 85-year-old
no,
can't be
that-
No,
hot.
but
Never
Spock
did.
was my favorite. Spock was
But
always
William
my
Shatner was
favorite.
hot then.
Okay.
I
Okay.
do, but I do want to say you keep talking about how beautiful this show is. In the scene where the Nauvoo is about to go and crash, and Miller is sitting there waiting, and then it
Oh,
turns the last minute is one of the best
Yeah.
scenes I've ever watched in my life. Like I was like crying. He's
Yes.
gonna die. We're gonna see this
Mhm.
great explosion, and then it turns at the last minute, and just every scene with the
Yes.
Nauvoo in it is just gorgeous. So I just want to
Yeah.
put out there, whoever wrote that scene.
That is good. That is good.
And I have to tell you, I was so glad I hadn't read the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got
haven't read the
what
book.
the hell is that? And then you find out that Julie Mao is the consciousness of the
Yes.
protomolecule. It's like, this is so freaking cool. It was just the best nerd moment. And even now, I can go back and watch it. And because it's so well written and so well shot, I still get the same rush. Maybe not the
Yes.
same amplitude, but it's like,
Yeah.
what? It moved? Well, I knew it was going to move, but still, it moved.
Exactly.
Like, what? Yeah.
I just love it. Okay, so this has been a fantastic conversation. I can't wait to talk about this show every week with all of you. Why don't we go around and let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and we'll start with Sistah Kay.
Oh, you can find me at on Twitter _Sistah Kay, Instagram's Sistah Speak Productions, and Facebook is Sistah Speak Podcast.
Excellent. How about you, Sistah Jay?
Same thing. Only with a J.
Well played.
I'm not on
Well
Twitter a lot, but Sistah Speak Productions. We're on Facebook. We have a Patreon page, Sistah Speak. Just find us.
And you guys truly are my podcasting inspiration. So I'm such a thrill to have you here talking about this
Thank you.
amazing
Thank you
show.
for
No, I love it.
asking us.
Oh, please, Lord have
Yeah.
mercy. Who
Thank
else?
you for asking us.
It's
Yes.
fantastic. How about you, Leandra?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Paris Leandra, at Parris Leandra. That's really my only social media that I follow, so that's the only way to find me.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter at dark_loops. You can find all episodes of the Expanse Crew at the Dark Loops Productions channel on YouTube. If you'd like to leave feedback about this podcast, please leave it on the YouTube page here. You can send something to Twitter at dark_loops, or send a message to darkloopsproductions@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to read it at the end of our next podcast. So there it is. From all of us to all of you, big hugs. Please tune in next time. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.